So today we're talking Meta Performance Summit. It happened in San Francisco last week over 2 days. Let's get into it. So I'm sure everyone's seen this before. It's Meta's total value for an ad score or formula. Essentially, it's how much you bid or your budget times the estimated action rate plus the value for the user, how relevant it is for them. So what was new here is they said just how important creative is and how creative can impact the estimated action rate, like the click-through rate, the conversion rate, almost greater than 50% impact just by the ad itself. So as well as 10% on the user value. So obviously creative plays a huge part in making the ads perform better. So it's not only about the account structure. Essentially, once you have the structure set up correctly, there's only so many levers you can pull. The creative is the second best and biggest lever. And you can see here Meta saying that it can have greater than 50% impact. I thought this was pretty cool, just the way they kind of highlighted how you should think about creative in terms of format diversification. So having video, static, carousel, reels, stories, like all different formats for each placement, but also actual format diversification. And then obviously more important is concept diversification. So having a variety of ads, diverse creative that can hit different people in a broad audience and will just help the algo perform better. What let's think about this was, if you identify barriers and motivators for your category and essentially think of those at like angles that you can use in the ad. So for some motivators, someone who loves fashion, cares about brands, wants to be on trend. So those are motivators for them to be looking for your brand. So you can use that as an angle in your ad. And then the flip side of that are some barriers. They don't know how to style themselves. They think the products are too expensive. So obviously you can highlight those value propositions and angles in the creative. This, I don't know if most people have seen it, unless you've worked with an account rep, it's basically their Meta's like performance scorecard for your brand based on the Performance 5. So the Performance 5 again is account simplification, automation, creative diversification, data quality, and results validation. And essentially they've given all the different tactics, and Meta has best practices in terms of the benchmark. So I won't go through each one. You can take a screenshot of this, or if you have a rep, talk to them to get a scorecard for your brand. But you basically need to be within the benchmark here. So minimized learning phase, you kind of want to be under 20% learning for the whole account, which is pretty cool. Opt into greater than 6 placements. So yeah, just a good way to kind of look at your account health as a whole. And back in the day, I didn't trust Meta as much, but post iOS 14 in the last couple of years with the constant updates and the new updates to ASC, you kind of need to follow like at least most of these best practices to see stable and like less volatile performance. So to wrap up, these were the 4 key insights I took from the Performance Summit. So number 1, data input is key. You need CAPI set up. Meta never really talked about how important this is, but it was a recurring theme throughout the conference this time where you need to give Meta as much signal as possible. Your event match scores need to be high. And then the more data Meta gets from you, the more it can use it to optimize and find new customers. If you're not on Shopify, yeah, you're screwed. It's just so much easier to get your match scores at least to a 9 or 9.9 almost, basically a 10 across all events through Shopify. So I'd move on Shopify if you haven't. There's a lot of talk on value optimization. I haven't really tested value optimization till recently in the last week, basically. It seems like Facebook's putting a lot of emphasis on value optimization. They're building new products around it. So it's definitely going to be something I'm going to use in Q4. I'm starting to test it already. The CPMs wild right now. I'm testing it, $100, $150 CPMs, but definitely seeing a better AOV, like 66% increase in AOV and 25% increase in click-through rates, and then 16% increase in ROAS. I've just been running it for a week. Okay, number 3 is the most exciting update, which is incremental attribution, as well as connecting third-party attribution tools. So this is big because it can allow you not only to report on this stuff, but actually optimize the ads for incremental attribution, which is insane. So that's kind of what all these third-party tools are trying to do. And Meta is going to give access to that directly within Ads Manager, which could be huge. So really looking forward to seeing how that works out and what it actually looks like. Because as you hit a certain scale, it's getting harder and harder to get incremental new revenue and new customers. Once you're spending 500-600K a month, you have to diversify objectives, do a bit of reach, video views, or something else, because you're just fishing in the same conversion pool. And it just gets harder and harder to get that next low-hanging fruit, essentially. And then, yeah, creative diversification. I mean, this was the last couple of years. They've always been talking about it in terms of formats and angles that we covered in the last slide. And again, a heavy focus on Reels to compete with TikTok. So I'm testing like Reels only campaigns, which are working for some brands depending on the content. But always got to think Reels first and make creative specific for Reels if you're going to test that out. But that was it.